Hey guys, it's your friend Gare back with another video for you today. And this time we're going to talk about, obviously, as you see in front of you, Amiibos. Now, oddly enough, the Happy Console Gamer, he just put out a video this morning talking about this very same topic, and I had already planned on doing this today, so sorry to all you guys who have seen his video and you're going to see mine now. But I really wanted to talk about it. It's something that I have a lot to say about it, and, you know, it's a really big craze right now, so I definitely wanted to get this put out there. And I also wanted an excuse to show off, you know, my collection so far, because I'm pretty happy with what I've got at this point. So, I told myself when Amiibos were first announced and they were coming out, they looked really cool, and there was a part of me that really wanted to get into it, but I told myself I was absolutely not going to do it. I was going to stay away from it, because one, I just really honestly don't have the room for them. You know, as you guys know, my game room is really not that big, so and me personally, I always leave these kind of things in the box, so it's like, where the hell am I going to put these things? And then the second thing is, you know, these things are $13 a pop, and, you know, you see how many I have. I don't even have the whole collection, so if you do the math on it, you know, that stuff adds up really quick. And believe it or not, you know, from what you guys see in my pickup videos, I don't really have a whole heck of a lot of money to spend on video games, and, you know, this is the kind of thing I'm going to keep, so obviously I'm not going to be able to break even, you know, by selling doubles and things like that. So it gets very expensive very quickly, and especially if you miss out on things and you're going to go on eBay and buy them, which I would never do. I'm never going to do that. So anyway, with that story being aside, you know, I did really good for the first few months. I stayed away from it, just completely ignored it. I heard that, you know, they were becoming rare and scarce and things like that. And I actually laughed, you know, I was laughing at the people that were going crazy trying to buy these things, the people that were collecting them. I was just sitting there pointing and laughing. And so, anyway, went to the store with my family one day. We were just kind of looking through the video game section. And I told myself if I did get into the Amiibos, I was going to get just a few characters that I really like, you know, Zelda, Link, anything Zelda related. I knew eventually they would come out with Mega Man, so I knew I would get that, Bowser, and just a few others, you know, just the ones I really wanted, and that would be it. So I bought Link, took it home, and I studied it, and I instantly fell in love with it. They are really quite nice. I mean, you have to give it to Nintendo. They really are basically glorified McDonald's toys, but they are very well done. I mean, there's a lot of detail that goes into them. They look really nice. They have good weight to them and everything like that. So I give them props. They do put out a good product. But yeah, after that, it just kind of spiraled downward. So the next day, my wife is at the store. She saw Zelda. She thought for some reason that Zelda was a rare one, so she went ahead and picked it up for me. I absolutely loved her as well. And then after that, I was like, you know what, screw it. These things are too awesome. So we're going to go to Toys R Us, see what they have. And so we went there. I picked up a couple more. I think I got lucky and I got Lucario that day. They weren't supposed to sell him yet, but the guy, I don't think he knew what he was doing. So he gave me a Lucario. And then I picked up Bowser, which was really kind of a hot item at the time because he was released early as well. So that just kind of, you know, it added fire to my engine, I guess. You know, it really wanted me to do more and more because I'm like, oh my god, this is such a rush. It's getting fun. So I got those, and then Toon Link and Sheik were coming out at the same time, and those I, you know, desperately wanted because they're Zelda characters. I had to have them, but they were selling out everywhere. I couldn't find them. So that was a big bummer, but then like a week later, they were everywhere. They're super easy to find, so pick those up. And then, the only reason I have as many as I have is because Toys R Us, I don't know if they're still having the sale, but they were having a sale where you buy one, get one 40% off. So basically, all the ones I did not have that were in that sale, I just went ahead and picked them up because that's actually a pretty good deal. You know, I don't know if they'll have anything like that again. So I grabbed the rest of the characters that they had that I didn't have, and that's basically what you see here, minus a few others. So Mega Man and Ike, got very lucky. I got those on, no, Mega Man, Ike, and Sonic. I got those on the same day that the Majora's Mask, you know, whole thing was released on that one Friday. Got really lucky to get some of those. Fox McCloud, got lucky, picked him up at a Walmart back where my wife is from. Really small town, so nobody really collects them there. So I was really happy to get that one. And I think, I can't really see him from back here. Yeah, so that's really it for, you know, all that I have and all the rarer ones. And as you can tell, there's a ton I didn't get because, like I said, I got into this very late. So I missed out on the really hard to get ones like Marth and, you know, the the Villager, the Wii Fit Trainer, Captain Falcon, Little Mac, and it really sucked because I desperately want those, but there's no way in hell I'm gonna ship. I'm not gonna pay more than $20 for any of them. I don't care how rare they are, how hard to find they are. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm not gonna feed into scalpers. It just really, that's a whole topic that really pisses me off. So I'm not gonna do it. $20 is my absolute limit. And there's a part of me that really hopes and thinks Nintendo will pull their heads out of their asses and eventually create new stock of these and put them back out there, because I'm hoping to God by now they've seen what kind of market that they've created and all the money that they're losing out on, and that they could be cashing in on. So I'm hoping, they talk some sense into themselves, to the CEOs or whoever's in charge of this, to make more. And to the people that had to shell out money, tons of money to get these, I kind of feel bad for them, but not really. It's an argument that could go back and forth all day. But anyway, the point of this video is I wanted to show off what I had, but I also wanted to talk about just how crazy this whole Amiibo thing is. Like I was saying earlier, people, oh my God, I hate to use this analogy, but I think it's really true. Amiibos have basically become like the heroin of video game collecting, because there are people doing the craziest shit I've ever seen to get these. Grown-ass men and women. Like, I mean, Black Friday, every year, you see people lining up at stores hours before to get stuff. It's one day a year. I still hate it. I think it's humanity at its worst. But, I understand to a certain degree. Huge sale, whatever. But now, with these Amiibos, you have grown-ass men who are taking days off work, or they're not working, I don't know, whatever the case may be, and they are camping out in front of Toys R Us stores, Best Buy stores, for like several hours before they open, just so they can bombard the place to go buy and grab all the ones they have. Best Buy exclusives, those are the really hard ones to get. The Best Buy exclusives, Target, Walmart, all that crap. So it's really frustrating because, I don't have that kind of schedule where I can do that. I have class, I have clinicals, I've got a family. I can't just take the day off and go camp out at a store. And because, like I said, I missed out, I waited too long to start collecting these, I couldn't get the pre-orders in to lock those in. So that's my fault. I do accept that to some degree. But that brings me to another point. Even trying to pre-order these things is a fucking nightmare. I actually have an app, and I'll tell you guys how to do it. There's a website called nowinstock.net, and what you do, you go there, you sign up, and what they'll do is you select certain items that you want to get notified for when they show up in stock, so you can jump on it. They'll send you a text, they'll send you an email, they have desktop alerts, which is really nice. So, I was like, okay, this is a guaranteed way, I won't miss out on these, I'll get the alert and I'll be able to buy them. But even with that, I swear, like, you literally have to be sitting either in front of your computer or on your phone waiting for it. As soon as it pops up, you gotta click on it, throw it in your cart, and hope to God you get it, because there's been so many times where these pre-orders have popped up and I've missed out. Like King Dedede, Meta Knight, gone in like 5 minutes. 5 minutes within the time I got the alert and got on there. And even with me, luckily they happened when I was home, just sitting on my butt doing nothing. So I got on there pretty quick, and I still didn't get any. I got completely screwed out of it, and it completely amazes me that many people are able to access it so fast and get these things. So it's, even pre-ordering, you're not guaranteed you're going to get one. It's complete insanity. Another thing that really just kind of boggles my mind is there are dedicated, so like that website I was telling you about, nowinstock.net, within each page for the items you're looking at, like the Amiibos, there'll be a chat, or like, a forum discussion underneath where you can see people talking about stuff. And there are just literally hundreds of people that talk about the fact how they're sitting on their computer pushing F5 all day to refresh to get these things. You'll see people bragging about how they bought 10 or 20 of them. And, you never know. They could be trolling the place, trying to piss people off. They could be serious. You really don't know. So you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But, that's not the only website. I know there's other sites that do this. There's Slick Deals. There's even a subreddit dedicated to Amiibos, and you'll see just hundreds and hundreds of forum chats talking about this thing, and that's all they do. They'll stay up for like endless hours upon hours at night, clicking refresh on their computer to get these things, and oh my God, it completely baffles me. To each their own. There's a certain amount of props I can give these people because they're obviously very dedicated to get these, they're hardcore collectors, and I can appreciate that to a certain degree. But you will never catch me dead, sitting in front of my computer for hours, just blindly pushing refresh all day to try to get one. You know, if my phone goes off and I can get on there and get one, that's awesome. You know, I'll be stoked. I'll be glad to show it off and everything like that. But you'll never catch me dead, losing sleep over a computer refreshing or camping out in front of a store. That's just not my thing. I've never been that kind of person, and I never will. So, you know, if I miss out on certain Amiibos because of that, so be it. So on to the next point I want to talk about is, you know, when I first talked about this a while back in one of my rant videos where I did a video response to Happy Console Gamer, I took some of the blame off Nintendo, but now that I really think about it, I think I blame them the most. You know, scalpers still piss me off. They're still scumbags to a 100th degree, but that situation wouldn't even be there were it not for Nintendo coming out with an adequate supply of these things in the first place. You know, I don't know. I don't work for Nintendo. I don't know anybody that works there. My dad doesn't work there, you know, so I don't know the situation, but what it appears to be like, and what a lot of people seem to agree on, is that they're trying to create an artificial market where they have such a low supply of these things that creates a huge demand. You know, so basically, if they only make 20 of each of these items, that makes people want to pick them up. Like, oh my god, they're rare, we have to get them, and they're guaranteed to sell their entire stock. So they're not sitting there with just a plethora of inventory just sitting around. And it's obviously a success. You know, that worked because you think about how many people buy these just for the mere fact that they're rare. You know, I'll be the first to admit that was part of the reason I got into this in the first place. But there are also tons of people like myself who are die-hard Nintendo fans, have been since we were little kids, and we were going to buy these regardless. I think at some point, regardless of the fact of the rarity, I probably would have got into these. You know, once the hype kind of died down, I had a little bit of extra money to spend, I would have gotten into it. But it's a slap in the face to the true fans because, you know, they advertise these things. They want you to buy Super Smash Bros. And all these games that utilize the Amiibo system, but you can't get the ones you want because they don't make enough of them. So the only way you can do that is to spend triple the money that you should have to spend to some scumbag on the internet to buy one. And I think it's a very big slap in the face to their fans, and I hope they realize that, and I hope to God they correct that, because this is why I say this is like the heroin of game collecting, because right now I have a lot of hate for Nintendo, but the nostalgia in me from my childhood, my entire life, keeps bringing me back. You know, they keep coming out with these first-party titles for the Wii U. They're fantastic, so I buy those. And then they have these things, which are so cool, I have to have them. And even though I tell myself I'm going to boycott them so they learn their lesson, I can't do it. I get overpowered, and I think a lot of people are the same way. So, you know, I really hope that they hear these complaints and they fix it. So on to the next point I wanted to make. You know, kind of going back to how they're screwing their fans. Probably an even bigger slap in the face is the fact that there are probably a lot of kids, you know, high school, middle school, elementary school, whatever, that want these really bad. You know, there's a lot of kids I know that love Nintendo characters like Mario and Pikachu and all these people. And, you know, if I'm having a hard time getting these, imagine how hard of a time kids are going to have. You know, they can't drive themselves to the store to buy this stuff. They don't have jobs to shell out money to buy these. You know, they can't, you know, they may not have access to the internet like I do. They, you know, have a smartphone and things like that to monitor this stuff. So if some poor kid wants, you know, Little Mac or Meta Knight, like my daughter, she loves the Kirby series. One of her favorite characters, she loves Meta Knight and she loves King Dedede. So her birthday's coming up this month, actually, in a few weeks. I would have loved to have gotten her one of those characters so she could have it to play with. She really wants to open these. She harasses me all the time, and I feel horrible that, you know, I can't let her. I let her open Bowser. That was the only one because we had a double. But she wants to open them and play with them. And she wants Rosalina, too. She loves the Rosalina character. But you know what? I can't buy her those. I can't get them for her birthday because they're sold out. And I, you know, as much as I love the kid, I love her to death. Hi, here she is right here. As much as I love her to death, I'm not going to spend $60 on a Rosalina Amiibo figure for her to open. You know what I mean? And it breaks my heart. I would love to be able to have those for her to play with. And, you know, that's the case with, I'm sure, a lot of other kids out there. And it really makes me mad. So that's just another one of the things that really drives me crazy about this whole thing. Alright guys, so that's really all the points I wanted to make about this. You know, I could probably gripe about this for hours. You know, there's probably tons of videos of people talking about the same thing, but again, it really does strike a nerve with me. It's a really strong love-hate relationship with these things. I love to hate them and I hate to love them. I really do. But anyway, you know, I am going to pre-order the WiiU series as soon as that's announced. I'm still waiting on those. I'm definitely going to get the Super Mario ones that are coming out, which, you know, Toad, that's been a whole debacle on its own, but I'm still going to get those as well. At some point, I would like to get out of collecting these. I say that all the time. You know, my wife, she makes fun of me because I'll sit there, try to pre-order something, I can't get it, and it pisses me off, you know, so I throw a poo-poo fit, and I say, you know what, I'm done, this is stupid, I'm done collecting these dumb things, I'm going to sell them, and I'm done. And then the next day, I'm off trying to find more, so... Yeah, I'm hooked on it. I really am. This is what I say. Like Happy Console Gamer said, we need AA, Amiibo Anonymous, to help us out, because it really is. It's a problem. It's very, very addictive. So, anyways, guys, I think that's gonna wrap up this video. I think I've went on for long enough about it. So let me know what you guys think about it. You know, do you guys love these things? Do you hate them? Do you collect them? Stay away from them? You know, do you think Nintendo's on the right, the wrong? Whatever you have to say, let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you're going to collect more, if you're going to stop, all that good stuff. So, thank you guys, as always, for watching. I truly appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care.